The funny thing about speed is, the harder and harder you try, the slower you actually go. You get more tense and then that makes you more stuck. So today, we're going to change that. First, we're going to get unstuck, then I'll show you exactly what your fingers need to be doing to play faster, and then finally, we're going to uncover the hidden obstacle that's probably holding back your speed. Let's dive in. Sometimes when we're trying to fix a problem, we zoom in so much that we actually miss what's really going on. At the piano, that usually means obsessing over every single note, trying to force each one to go a little bit faster. Sometimes even making a separate arm movement for every single note. And that's basically guaranteed to build our tension and to slow us down. So instead, let's zoom out for a second. Let's look at the bigger shape and we'll make a single gesture for a whole group of notes. So this is what I call grouping. Let's think about it out of time for a moment. So take your group of 5 notes and make one gesture, one single movement over many notes. Basically, we're making this motion going through the notes. Sometimes I even like to pinpoint the exact moment that the movement's going to start. And sometimes I even say, and there. So we can think, and there, and there. Then, of course, you can join them together, and there. Notice how it's not the arm moving up and down. The arm is relaxed, the elbow is open, and it's the fingers that are actually doing most of the moving. A sentence that I was taught that has stayed with me, and it's really simple, is that the arm moves the fingers to where they need to be. A scale is really like one big group with a long gesture going up and then another coming back down. Your arm just moves your fingers to where they need to be in the scale. Now let's zoom out a little bit further and consider timing. If you simply take this one thing from today, take this, think in fewer beats and in fewer movements. Let me explain. Say if we're playing in a 3/4 time signature, what you don't want to do is think of every single crotchet in the bar anymore. You stop thinking like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and instead you can start thinking of 1 in a bar. So this is one gesture for every bar instead of every beat. So we'd have and suddenly our music starts to flow forwards. It starts to move forwards because we're not thinking of every single beat. We're thinking of these bigger, broader bars. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it, but we're literally nodding our head and bouncing it with every beat that we're playing. And this really holds that momentum back. So this idea of thinking bigger works in any time signature. Just think of one gesture and one longer beat over many notes. This also works in the right hand say where you have those faster passages or like quavers that are constantly moving. You can create a gesture over a bar and then join it to the next bar. But it's one movement. We're not getting bogged down with every single finger, every single note here. We're just creating one movement over many notes. The arm is just moving upwards and the fingers are following. Okay, so that alone should help you to feel like your music is flowing faster straight away. And your fingers will start to land exactly where they need to be. But even if you get them to the right place, if they can't move in the way that we need them to, we've really only solved half of the problem. Before we jump into how to get your fingers moving more effortlessly in the right way and a little bit faster, if you haven't already, check out the 60-minute practice routine that's available from the link in the description for more structure in how you practice. So now on to the most important part. I hate staccato playing a bit like I hate soup, but I don't actually. I just didn't play staccato or staccato scales or practice for the longest time because it was harder to play. and I didn't know that it was the key to unlocking faster fingers. I mean, what is staccato playing? It's literally moving your fingers up and down, or rather down and up, with a fast strike. So what could be better for learning to play faster? Our arm moves our fingers to where they need to be, and they strike the keys quickly. Sounds like we've almost solved this speed problem, but beware, because there is also a hidden obstacle that can hold us back. But I'll come back to that right after these staccato exercises. So let's take the passage that we're working on, and say you've practiced your gesture. Now you just need to go through each finger and each note carefully and playing them with staccato fingers. And you can do that in 3 different ways. So first, we want to think about having active fingertips. I say fingertips deliberately because when you're trying to play faster, you want your fingers to stay as close as possible to the keys. The further that they have to travel, the longer it's going to take. So you can start with a slightly exaggerated movement to begin with, and flick your fingers backwards in staccato. The second way then is to flick them forwards. You can do this one finger at a time and really take your time over each finger, just getting that movement better each time. And then finally, you can think about pushing them or placing them directly downwards into the key. I was thinking they could be a little bit more staccato. But basically, we're pushing our fingers down from our hand directly downwards. After doing this, shrink the same movement so that it's as small as possible, keeping your fingers as close to the keys, pretty much hovering on top of the keys. So when we're practicing these fingers, these staccato fingers, try to focus on just improving one finger and the movement of that finger individually on its own, one at a time. This is usually where then we encounter that obstacle. Here's the thing about fingers, they're not the same, they're different lengths. Some are naturally a little bit stronger, some are naturally weaker, and some rely on their neighboring fingers just a little bit too much. This matters because even if you've got the gesture right and your fingers are in the right place, your speed is going to still be limited if your fingers aren't truly independent from each other. You end up trying to force the speed and overworking certain parts of your hand or your arm. So to avoid this, we need to use some simple independence exercises. So first of all, just try this simple exercise. So let's pick a starting note like C. And what we're going to do is we're going to press our thumb down and we're going to hold it. So keep your thumb lightly pressed and then cycle through the rest of your fingers with them lightly pressed down on the top of the surface. Well, not really pressed down, but just resting on the top of the surface. I like to think of them as being glued, please don't glue your fingers, glued to the top of the surface, just so that you know that they shouldn't come up from the keys. So then after you've got your C down, just cycle through each one, and we're just trying to do this lightly. We're not forcing it. We're keeping our hand relaxed, and we can be aware of how we're sitting as well. So keep that thumb depressed and then cycle through the others. After you've done them individually, you can start to do them a bit more legato. And what we're looking out for is avoiding any other fingers influencing other fingers. So for instance, we've got our thumb down. Say we play our 2 and our 3 on 4 flick up. That means they're not really working very independently. So we're aiming for that thumb to be down, and then we're just cycling through each one and just watching. Are any fingers being influenced? A lot of the time it's the thumb and the index finger that are going to be providing the support for the hand. So a lot of the time those are the ones that flick up. So just watch that each finger is moving independently. The next step then is to hold down other fingers instead of your thumb. So for instance, we could hold our index finger down and then just cycle through the other notes. You might find that's a little bit more tricky, and you'll probably find that the 4th finger is the hardest one to control as you're cycling through the other fingers. Well, you can start using grouping and you can improve your finger movement pretty much straight away. Independence is going to take some more time and a little bit more patience to learn and improve, which is why I would, if we were to order what we should do first, second, and third, I'd probably start thinking about this one first. Next, start thinking about finger movement and staccato fingers, and then finally incorporate all of those into gesture, one gesture, for more speed. Sometimes, though, what holds us back isn't our technique, but it's our reading. We can only play as fast as we can read. So to overcome this, check out this next video, which is about why reading the score is slowing you down. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you there.